Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Ada for not talking to my dad after he cheated and got exposed on Facebook. My sister, 22-year-old female, and I, 19-year-old male, were sleeping in the same flat when she unexpectedly woke me up to tell me that my father had been exposed for adultery on Facebook. Both of us got direct messages from my father's boyfriend, who expressed his desire for a prettier girl too, and his dissatisfaction with my mother. A screenshot of my father messaging his fling to come to my parents' room at our beach house and do it while my mother is gone was also tweeted by the fling. My father's adultery is no longer a topic of conversation in our household. My mother has caught him cheating on more than one occasion, but she always forgives him because men will always be men, she says. However, this time around, his adultery was exposed on social media platforms. The issue has expanded to his place of job, my sister's place of employment, and my friends' places of employment. After realizing we were aware, he called us and instructed us not to take any action against him. I would have let it go, but I can't let go of someone who has insulted my mother. So I called the girl and screamed at her for a good 10 minutes. I was furious. Upon learning of the harlot's actions, my father erupted in anger. I was also enraged at him for attempting to defend his affair. We'd have our weekly family Sunday lunch the next day, which would be the following Sunday. I didn't even say anything to him during the whole process. He didn't even bother to express regret for the cheating incident, preferring to go on as if everything was normal. I avoided him as much as I could and even missed a few meals when he was at the house. 7 weeks later, Dad turned up at our door, inebriated and unannounced, and proceeded to disparage me as an ungrateful son for not talking to him. He was arrested and charged with domestic violence. The man started spewing garbage about how he didn't raise me to be a sensitive, and that I should be thankful to him simply for being born. I couldn't stop laughing. Basically, he was going on about completely unrelated issues in order to boost his ego and explain why he had nothing to apologize for in the first place. Apparently, the fight had reached my mother, who was begging with me to take the responsibility of apologizing so that the whole problem could be rectified. It was at this point that I informed her that I was no longer going to put up with this since he does it all the time when he's cornered and I'm the one who always gives in. Obviously not wholly unfair, but Ada for not speaking with him and choosing the high road instead of taking the easy way out. Edit, because of their connection, I did not contact my father's affair to slam her. I couldn't give what they do. I did because she was making a snide remark about my mother. My father is always verbally and occasionally physically abusing her. I'm not going to allow someone else drag her. Because she refused to stand up for herself, I did what I had no choice but to do. Story 2. Ada for putting extra salt in my SIL food. Throwaway's account of events. I, a female 34-year-old, have a sister-in-law, a female 25-year-old, whom we'll call H. 3 years have passed since she began dating my brother J, a 32-year-old male. Despite the fact that we were born in Europe, our forefathers originated in the Middle East. H was born and raised in Europe, where he still resides. The fact that our religion and culture are not the same as hers was not a problem for us since she is a beautiful person and we are both open-minded. She goes out of her way to make my brother happy in whatever way she can. She's studying Arabic and learning about the culture, and she's just started looking up recipes from our country as well as other countries. I know my brother is delighted with anything she does, and if he is satisfied, it is likely that we will be as well. Last week, they came to our house to have lunch with us and our whole family. Our family is rather huge, consisting of various relatives, children, brothers, sisters, parents, and grandparents, among other things. The vast bulk of them were in attendance. H made a meal that is really popular in the country from where we are deriving our inspiration. It took everyone by surprise. She threw it in the sink with the rest of the dishes, intending to wash it later on. My culinary experience dates back to the age of 14 and has resulted in my being a very good cook as well. I was interested about how her food tasted, so I decided to try some for myself. It wasn't bad, but I thought I could make it even better by adding additional salt and spices. When we served the food for lunch, everyone complimented H on how wonderfully she prepared it and how delicious it was. This is an area where I could serve as a TA. To everyone's surprise, I announced in front of them that I had spiced up the meal with salt and spices. The situation escalated and Jay started fighting with me in front of the whole group. He told me that there was nothing wrong with H's dinner and that I should not be disrespectful in my behavior toward him. However, I believe in the value of constructive criticism, and I was seeking to aid her in her educational endeavors. After they departed, I saw H sobbing in the backseat of the car. My family told me that I was an AH, which caused our guest to feel ashamed. I'm in a terrible state of mind. Ada? Edit. Okay, so it seems that everyone believes I'm a TA, but just to be clear, I did not intend this in a derogatory manner. In my own testing, I found the dish to be rather delicious for a first attempt. However, I believed it might need a little more salt and flavoring, so I added a little more if you don't mind it, I said. It'll be much better the next time around. And I didn't want to be the star of the show. I just wanted to be really honest. Edit 2. The next day, I apologized to her and explained that I had made a mistake, but my brother isn't willing to let this go. Update. Thank you very much for your thoughtful comments and criticisms. Even though it was tough for me to admit it at the time, I had made a serious mistake. Following my article, I took some time to consider my options and had a long conversation with my grandparents. A great deal of trauma transpired, and I finally realized why I was behaving in such a threatening manner toward my SIL. When I was her age, I had a personality that was quite similar to hers, shy, polite to everyone, and always upbeat and cheerful in her outlook. After that, bad things happened, and I started to change my appearance. I grew into the overly concerned and gloomy person I am now. She was really vulnerable when she first became a part of the family, and I quickly saw that she needed to toughen up. I saw a lot of myself in her, and I was concerned that she might be hurt if she continued to act in this manner. The source of the problem was something in my head, and I had no clue how toxic I was to her. I hurt her, embarrassed my brother, and brought my whole family into disrepute. I went to make things right, express my regret, and make certain that anything like this would never happen again. As a result, I invited her to lunch. He was fortunate in that she said yes. I went online and searched up some dishes from her culture, and then I got to work in the kitchen preparing them. When she came, the meal had already been prepared. She took a bite and said, jokingly, that it may benefit from a little more salt and spice. Oh my gosh, I've worked hard for that law. After that, we wept and spoke about our troubles together. It was very excellent. We made a promise with each other that every weekend, we would get together and create something. After that, we went to my parents' house, where almost everyone who had been to see them the last time was there to greet us. I've expressed my regret to everyone I've upset and promised that anything like this would never happen again in the future. They'd forgiven me after all. Following that, we had a lovely time with plenty of laughing, tea, and food to go around. My brother and I were about to leave when I called his attention to my phone and gave him my phone, which had a confirmation email on it. The most romantic environment I could think of for him and my sister-in-law to spend Christmas together was what I created for them. We will be decorating the area with Jay the next days. Finally, I've decided to seek counseling in order to work through my issues, for the benefit of my own well-being as well as that of my family. Although unpleasant, these few days acted as a significant wake-up call for the whole team. One thing is certain, I would not want to lose touch with the individuals who are most important to me. Thank you very much for your help, Reddit. Edit. Thank you very much for everything. You are all very much appreciated. I left a remark below since there weren't enough characters left in the post. Please read if you have the time. Otherwise, I'd want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Take precautions.